All right, people, let's have a look at this role between Azam and Adam. Azam on the right here, we're going to look at that from his point of view. So good level changes here, a little bit of footwork errors that we can look at. And in general, when we're hand fighting, we want to get to the inside position. So you can see here that Adam has his hand on the inside and we want to get our hands to the inside position. So we're circling, decent level change here, maybe a little guard pull situation there, and we're ducking out of those collar ties. So instead of trying to duck out of these collar ties, a better way to deal with these would be to try and push Adam's wrist up so that we can keep our posture while we duck underneath the collar ties, or we can over tie and stretch them out, lots of different options, but we want to avoid breaking our posture and ducking out of those collar ties. So here, Adam goes for a shot, changes levels well, and then we posture up in fear of that guillotine. So something that you can think about, the better that your wrestling gets, the better your guillotine defense either needs to be or will get just organically. But here, we do an excellent job getting to the double leg, and we have a good opportunity to hold our partner down here. And before Adam can get to close guard here, if we can bring our left knee in towards the hip or even our right knee in towards a half guard position, we should be able to use our left shoulder to drive our partners back towards the mat. And because we are already in a cross-body orientation to the guillotine, we should be safe from the guillotine, and then we will have a little bit better chance of staying in a chest-to-chest position or a situation where we're more likely to pass and less likely that our partner can establish a guard. So we start standing up and we look to control the ankles. Adam does a really good job of getting back up there when we turn to escape that ankle grip. So when we escape this ankle grip, because Adam has a good wrap around Azam's leg here, but what Adam hasn't done is hop his butt towards Azam's foot. So as a general rule and an ideal situation for a tripod sweep, what we want is our butt almost on the inside of Azam's ankle there. And that way there won't be a gap between our fingers on the other side of the leg there and our heel. So it will be harder for our partner to free their leg. But in a situation like this, where there is a big gap, if we just kick our foot across the body here, then we should be able to break that grip without having to turn all the way and giving our partner a chance of escaping. So Adam does a good job of getting back to his feet, and now we're back to wrestling. So something that we can be, and we guard pull. So when we guard pull, you see a lot of people just sit down, and it's not necessarily wrong, but you can see that Adam gets to choose the way that he wants to pass and the way he wants to engage with the legs here. So if instead of just sitting down, we think about aggressively pulling guard, then we can go straight into our attacks. So there are lots of different ways that we can aggressively pull guard. One way might be to make a 2-on-1 grip and look to sit our butt to the ground and open our legs wide so that we can pull our partner towards us and then get our feet in the outside position where we can start playing things like De La Riva and K-guard. Alternatively, what we could do is make 2 grips on our partner's wrists and look to sit our butt close towards our partner's feet and then try and get our ankles on the inside of our partner's knees, and that way we can enter straight into single legs, and that could be done with a collar tie as well. But you can see that when we just pull guard by sitting down, we're giving our partner a good chance of outside passing and putting us under some pressure. So here we've gone an opportunistic single X type position. We do a good job at off balancing straight away, and then we get to our grip and a nice bridge to finish with that ankle lock. So starting again here on the feet, and something I want you to watch is the footwork of Azam. So you can see that as he's moving to his left, his right foot is moving first, and that steps his feet together and makes it more difficult for him to be athletic from a position like that. So that's called cross-stepping, and we want to avoid that because it's difficult for us to shoot from a position like that, and it's easier for our partner to take us down when we have a narrower base. But here's decent hand fighting going on. Again, we're kind of ducking our head out of those collar ties, making it difficult to see what we're doing. And now some level changes, some attacking the head, some hand fighting, getting to the inside position, and then looking to try and take our partner down while we have a collar tie or while they have a collar tie is going to be difficult. So there are lots of different ways that we can counter a collar tie, but particularly when Adam's elbow is in close towards the center of our chest, we might look for some kind of throw by or slide by, looking to pass Adam's wrist to the other side of our head. And the main way or the main mechanism that makes that work is by rotating our shoulders. So if we can punch our left shoulder forwards and rotate on the spot, then it's going to be very difficult for Adam to hold on to that grip. And then when you start adding in hand fighting, whether it's looking for a Russian or a throw by or a slide by, we don't have to lean back when we're trying to clear those collar ties. But generally, when we try and shoot for a collar tie or reach for our partner's back, shoot for a double leg or reach for our partner's back, it's difficult to do while they have a collar tie because that's kind of acting as a frame. And then we end up getting dragged into almost like a closed guard situation here. So we're putting good pressure on, nice opportunistic pass around the outside here. And now we look to control the head and we're settling into this side control position. Apologies for the camera work. And now here we're in side control. We have a good cross face, but our partner has this forearm on the inside of our hip. So their inside frame is still in place, which means that should be our first priority. You can see that when we try and step over the legs, that's hard to do. And it's likely that we'll get popped off and our partner will be able to achieve a bottom knee and elbow connection, just like Adam did there. So as soon as somebody gets their bottom, okay, first of all, from side control, it would be good if we can walk our knees back towards the legs of Adam, trying to point his knees away from us. And that way we will have a better chance at getting our hip underneath Adam's near side elbow. Alternatively, we could use the hand that's controlling the head to dig an underhook or pick this elbow up, but we do want to pay attention to this inside frame. If our partner starts recovering and getting their bottom knee and elbow connected, there's a couple of things we can do. So early on, when Adam bridges, there is an opportunity for us to tight waist and wrap our right hand underneath our partner's lower back. A little bit difficult in this instance because Adam bridged quickly and did a good job of getting that knee and elbow connected. But now, once the knee and elbow is connected, then ideally what we could do is bring our right arm in between Adam's ribs and his thigh. If we can get in between the ribs and the thigh, that means we'll be able to move to a north-south position, particularly with our left arm already on the other side of the head. And our right arm will prevent that knee from following Adam or tucking to Adam's chest here. And we should be able to get to a chest-to-chest position in a north-south. So always looking to try and put that right forearm in between the thigh and the ribs so that when we circle around to north-south, we'll be able to separate that knee and elbow connection that the person on the bottom has. So good job getting all the way back to guard by Adam here. And now we are choosing to sit and play some guard. And we're playing this seated guard position. Kind of have both feet out in front, which isn't necessarily wrong, but we are a little bit leaning back here, leaning back a little bit too much. So when we're playing a seated guard position, ideally, we have our shoulders forwards of our hips. So if our shoulders are forwards of our hips, that means that we are much harder to push backwards because we're not close to being off balanced already. And in this situation here, it would be good if Adam's left elbow was on the inside of his left knee. That way we can hand fight a little bit more effectively and we'll be in the correct position to start entering into shin on shin, try and enter into single X. And we could also lean our right hand on the mat. But you'll see the best seated guard players in the world really have those shoulders far forwards of the hips so that they can more effectively hand fight and threaten hip heists and single X. So now here, we kind of have our legs a little bit too close together and that left elbow's on the outside, which isn't terrible, but going to make it more difficult. Now, this is a very common situation here when Adam starts to put some pressure on and we are not really playing our seated guard position. Sorry, this might be a little bit off screen, so I'll just rush through it here. But generally, as soon as our back starts moving towards the mat, we want to bring our knees to our chest and open our legs out wide so that we can get towards outside position rather than looking for inside position. And if we pause it right here, you'll see that this left leg over the back is good, but only if we can get our right foot out. So if Adam can keep his left knee very close towards Adam's butt, then that will mean it's hard for Azam to take that right foot out. So it isn't necessarily wrong to go left leg over the back there, but I would prefer to have either my foot on the hip or my knee in front of the chest, and I wouldn't be trying to pull my partner into me just yet. I'd be trying to frame the upper body away to give myself more space to get this bottom leg out so that I'm sure I'll get back to closed guard, but it does work out in this instance. So here, Azam's got a good closed guard. You can see the ankles are crossed. He's pulling his knees to his chest. He's disrupting his partner's base, controlling the head, looking to climb those legs up the back here. And now he does a very good job at trapping the far shoulder and attacking this armbar. And then looks to switch it off a little bit loose here, extending the legs perhaps instead of curling them back towards the back of the head. But still, we have good enough wrist control here and we get the tap. So back here on the feet, looking to hand fight, good head position, matching your partner's head is a good thing to do whenever we're wrestling. And then again, against these collar ties, you can see we're kind of going over the top. We're almost pulling our partner's elbow down, making their collar tie stronger instead of using an over tie to stretch our partner out. And that means that we are kind of ducking our head to get out of that collar tie. And you can see that when we posture up out of that ducked head position, we are quite exposed for takedowns. So trying to get good at clearing collar ties in an effective way without breaking your posture too much is a good thing to think about when you're wrestling. And now Adam does a good job picking up that single leg. We're reaching for the head a little bit with two hands, leaving our legs exposed, but that did work as a good setup where we can reach for the head, get our partner to react, and then look to finish our double leg again. So we are in this guillotine position, and depending on how deep it is, we can either try and pop our head out like this, or in a guillotine defense spot, we should generally be leaning to the crossbody side. Even if we're in closed guard and we can't actually get crossbody, leaning towards the crossbody side will prevent our partner being on their hip, and that makes their guillotine attempt much weaker. So you can see that Adam has pretty good positioning. Obviously, he's starting to lose the head now, but if Adam's shoulder was forward and that ear was a little bit closer to the middle of the back there, then this left leg over the back will provide a good way of being able to connect himself to that guillotine attack. So if Adam is feeling more danger of the guillotine, then he can lean towards the cross-body position. But he does a good job getting that head free and now looking to get the hands inside. So really good job pummeling this left forearm inside, because when we are being attacked with an overhook here, we want to make sure that we're staying square and constantly trying to get that arm out like he does now, and then doing a good job of getting the hands to the armpits here and just taking his time, trying not to get his head too controlled, but those hands on the inside, not letting the elbows get passed across the middle, and keeping the hands off the mat is a really good thing to do. So here, standing up, trying to push the hips down, seeing that triangle coming and ducking all the way out, and now here's another tripod sweep. So as soon as our partner is grabbing our ankle and they have this foot on the hip, it would obviously be nice if we could throw this foot past our hips and prevent our hips from being pushed backwards. But the third ingredient, so after the ankle grip and the foot on the hip, the third ingredient for the tripod sweep is this right foot blocking behind the back of his knee there. So if we can take a big step backwards, we will be less vulnerable to being tripod swept, which is a really well-timed attack by Adam there. And then we end up repositioning and now playing some supine guard. And in general here, most of the time, if I watch my rolls, the times that I get past are when somebody's controlling both of my ankles. So you can see that Adam has a grip on both of Azam's legs, and that's going to make all of our attacks harder and make our guard retention much more difficult. So at the start, as soon as we're playing a supine guard, a good thing to think about is having one long leg and one short leg. You can see that Adam's legs are both in the same position, which means that they're both easily grabbed. So if we can keep one leg or one heel close to our butt and extend this right leg out wide, kind of knee to our armpit and leg out wide, that will make it harder for Adam to grab and control our legs there. And then we can look to be offensive with our grips. Now, another thing that we can do when somebody is controlling our shins is look to attack their grips. So if Adam is leaning on this grip here and controlling our shin, then we should be trying to get our our left thumb coming underneath Adam's wrist and looking to make a 2-on-1 grip on this top hand. If we can make a 2-on-1 grip, that means we can pull our partner forward and make them take a step towards us, which is where we can get our legs into the outside position and start making grips on their ankles where we can be more offensive from a guard. But this is a very common mistake that a lot of beginners make, which is when our partner is far away from us and they are using these long arms and these kind of straight legs and they're leaning into us here, we tend to have a tendency to start reaching with our legs. And that's what happens here. So we start reaching for that inside position with our right leg, which just means that we have one less layer of guard, particularly when we don't have control of our partner's hands. And Adam is starting to hit these kind of power knee slice positions into this overback type grip. So in terms of retaining guard in a position like this power knee slice, because we still have our top shin in front of our partner, but we know that our bottom leg is about to get past, then we can try and tuck our chin towards our chest, tuck our bottom elbow in towards our hip, use the foot of our bottom leg on the mat to lift our hips, and then we can start inverting underneath our partner. So inverting to retain your guard is a good skill to have, and a great way to practice it is going half guard knee shield, asking somebody to pass your bottom leg, and then using that top shin in place or in front of the hips to act as a pivot point so that you can lift your hips up, invert your head, roll over your bottom shoulder, and start getting out of there. So now wisely turtling in defense of that front head attack. And now we need to be hand fighting and trying to get our partner's grips away from that space between our hips and our armpits. So a good way to do this, particularly when the arm is in quite deep and it's difficult for us to use our same side grip on the wrist to try start pulling that hand out, we can use a cross grip. So in this case, Azam on the bottom there can use his left hand to push Adam's wrist further out so that he can pummel his right elbow back inside of Adam's forearm and start getting it back towards his hip, where we should have a better chance at protecting that space between our armpit and our hip, and then we can look to stand up or retain our guard. So Adam does a very good job at putting that top hook in, and it's not a bad idea to roll straight away and try and turn that into basically a half guard position. So this is a similar spot to what Azam was in before with that leg over the back. And when we are on top here, this is a great position to start entering into chest to chest passing situations, where if we can put our chest down nice and low against our partners and basically following the half guard passing principles that we've talked about before, where we're trying to keep our partner's hips and shoulders flat on the mat, then we can pinch our knees together around our partner's trapped ankle and start extending our legs. And that will lower their knee as their leg extends and allow us to start bringing our knee in towards the hip. But in this spot, I think Azam kind of chooses to disengage a little bit, and then we are allowing our partner to get back towards a seated guard position, a position that's a little bit harder to pass. So I'll pause this video here and hope that was helpful. I'll catch you guys next time.